Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Everyday I'm Mothering. I'm going to be continuing our homeschool series on curriculums and talking about the math curriculum that we use, which is RightStart Math. And this will be our third year using RightStart, and we just love it. We are beyond happy with the program, what all my daughter has learned so far. So we have done this for kindergarten, first grade, and then she's entering second grade this year. RightStart Math is for elementary through middle school, so it's not going to be for your high school kids. And I can personally only talk about the elementary piece of RightStart. This is specifically just our math curriculum. I do use different curriculums as part of our total homeschool experience. So make sure to subscribe to my channel. You can click that link below and go check out those other videos if you're interested in additional curriculums. When you start looking at math curriculums, you're going to find a variety of options based on different methods and styles of teaching math. Typically, you see that with a spiral versus mastery type approach. For a spiral approach, children are learning kind of a lot of topics on a broad level, and they're introduced to them again and again repetitively. With a mastery approach, you focus on one topic until you've mastered it, and then you move to the next topic. Both of those have pros and cons, but what I really liked about RightStart is that it combines both of those approaches. The way that it's teaching math is that it covers a wide variety of topics at each level, but those topics are still built subsequently in a way that makes sense, and children are able to actually learn and understand the concepts behind them. So often in math, we see, a lot of repetitiveness, the flashcards, memorization. I mean, I know that's how a lot of what I taught was based on memorization. And when you do that, you're not really building that understanding that you need for deeper thinking, for problem solving. That's when you start seeing children get frustrated with math because they're just not getting it. They just don't understand the reasoning behind it. So with RightStart, from the very beginning, it's all based on teaching children fundamentally the concepts behind math. Not going to be memorizing facts, but they're going to be learning strategies for mastering these topics. RightStart describes that process initially happening as the emphasis is on visualizing quantities and de-emphasizing counting. So it's all about grouping fives and tens, really seeing the patterns, understanding place value, and how everything works together. Even in saying all that, and if you research them on their website, it can still leave you wondering, what does that actually mean? What does this program really look like? So that's why I want to explore a little bit more and give you an idea of what it actually looks like to teach using RightStart. To me, what made RightStart really stand out was their focus on games and manipulatives. And when I say that, what I mean is that when you buy RightStart, you're buying initially this bundle set. So whatever level that you're starting with, you'll get that teacher set and the student workbook, but then you'll also want to buy your starter kit. And that's where you're going to get all the materials that you will use for this level and future levels. This is where you're really finding that hands-on approach. So this is an independent type curriculum. If that's what you're looking for, this probably is not going to be a good fit for you. This is going to require quite a bit of parent interaction. Now, there will be a script that you follow. It's very clear what you say and when you do things. There's games to be played, things to set up. I do want to clarify that expectation going in. And I would say time-wise, we spend about 30 minutes on a session, sometimes less than that if there's not games included, but we usually go through these lessons very quickly. Talk about the manipulatives that go with this. Their main thing is this abacus. And the way the abacus is used is to help visualize the counting and numbers. So like we talked about groups of fives and tens, you can see that each row has 10 beads, and they're divided in fives by the blue and yellow. So they are taught at an early age to be able to identify 5 and 2 as 7. Just very quickly being able to look at that. And you will use this abacus for a lot of the lessons and a lot of different concepts. And on the back, it actually helps you with placeholders. And they'll learn how to add, how to carry over your numbers to group, like that 10 tens is 100. Things like that. So this abacus is one of their main pieces. They also have fun things like this balancing scale. And on this, they will learn how to hang weights to learn to balance. So for example, they'll learn that 6 plus 6 is 12. Different ways to, again, visualize how equations would work. Used quite frequently for different things. So many other things. You have coins, centimeter blocks. You have your placeholder number. You have tiles to learn patterns. You have boards to create shapes with different rubber bands. A clock, you have panels that you can make geometric shapes out of. To use for fraction, a lot of different materials in this curriculum. In addition to those, another thing that makes RightStart unique is that they have a lot of card games. And these card games are, at the very beginning for learning numbers, adding, subtracting, and then multiplication, telling time, even dealing with money and change. You play all different kinds of games, and my daughter loves them. Like, some of her favorites are Go to the Dump. She's been loving the war games lately, where you use different combinations of coins to make specific change. They're really fun, and it's a way that children learn these facts without just filling out a worksheet over and over again. They're actually learning them, and then they're wanting to understand because they want to apply them to the games. And they have so much fun without even realizing that they're actually reinforcing what you've been using for math. There can be a tendency for math to be a little repetitive, and some kids view it as boring, but this helps them, they're hands-on in the lesson, whether it's the tiles, the abacus, whatever they're doing. They're always moving things with their hands. They're looking at them in different ways. They're really grouping them. So they're seeing it, they're moving it themselves, they're hearing it. There are some worksheets they do, and then they're playing these games. So together, those things work to teach your children in different ways the facts. The way RightStart is set up is that you go through one lesson every day. And the lessons are pretty quick, and you can see in the parent book that it gives you the activities for teaching, and there's typically some type of warm-up where they go over things they've learned in prior lessons. Then they're introducing some type of new topic. Then there's usually a hands-on activity either with the abacus or some of the other materials to use. And usually there's some type of worksheet that they complete and a card game to play to reinforce whatever they've learned that day. And typically for the student book, I just printed them out and I put them in a binder. I like to get the PDF, that way I can reuse it for my other children when they move up. So as of now, I've bought the entire curriculum of RightStart Math. So when you first do your initial purchase, that's going to be the largest cost because you're getting all the manipulatives in that bundle. That initial one's going to be about $200, $210. And then every year you will get the teacher edition and the student edition for the next level up. It'll typically be around like $90 or so. But if you get the PDF version and you just print off the student part, then you're good to go for the rest of your children. And I will say, since I'm talking about cost, that you can almost always find a discount for RightStart Math. They typically do a lot of the conventions, and you can get a code through those. And since right now a lot of them are canceled, you can pretty much sign up for any digital conference if there should probably still be some out there, and you'll typically get like a 15% off code. And then I think they always offer discounts for like military and first responder families. You just need to reach out to them for specifics on that piece. Here you can get an idea of what some of the student worksheets look like after you print them off for them to complete. And in some of the higher levels, they also have practice sheets that they'll fill out at the beginning of each lesson, just to reinforce again some of the things that they've been learning. Another neat thing about RightStart, especially in level A and some in level B, that they do a lot of songs. So this is one of their main ones, and it's Yellow is the Sun. This is the way that they teach the numbers. And they also have songs for days of the week, months of the year, and how many days are in each month. It's another style of learning that's also available in the curriculum. I do want to talk about some of the topics that were actually in each of the levels that my daughters went through. So in level A, I was really surprised. I mean, while it still did the basics of, you're learning to count, your numbers, writing the numbers, orders, it also included, by the end of the year, she was doing some fractions, division, multiplication. She started doing a little bit with coins, with time, calendar, and she even looked at things like parallel and perpendicular lines, a little bit of geometry. It was really starting to lay those foundations for her to understand how everything she learned at the beginning would apply to what are typically, more difficult and higher level concepts. So when we moved into B this year, she was already ready to go. And even though we don't really get back into divisions and fractions till later in level B, she still remembers, able to apply it. So in level B now, she's easily able to mentally add, long numbers together. She's working with 4-digit, 6-digit numbers and adding them, on paper. She's not doing 6-digit numbers in her head, but she's really understanding the grouping, and she's understanding what their part whole circles, where they look at, say 10 is your whole and the parts of it might be 3 and 7 or 5 and 5. And she's able to take that concept and understand addition and subtraction and, kind of flipping them both ways and understanding, how they're related to each other and how she can solve word problems by visualizing those different concepts and using the abacus in her head. So I have been really impressed with how quickly she was able to grasp these. Even at the beginning, I will say in level A, I thought this seems a little basic for, where we were. I mean, she already knew her numbers, she knew how to count, she knew how to write them, but they're reteaching teaching the way to even think about that. So for example, 13, they teach it the math way of saying 1, 10, 3. And at first I really didn't understand the point of doing that. But as they start to grow and they're saying, 2, 10, 7 for 27, it really does help them to be able to group those 10s and 5s and understand the place values and how those things work. And of course, eventually they start calling them 27. But it's that initial visualization and grouping that has really made it easy for her to grasp these harder concepts. Another thing I've liked about RightStart is specifically how they handle geometry. I know for Elena it was a little challenging with the spatial reasoning and logic and thinking things through like that at the beginning, but because she's able to have so many different ways of looking at these shapes and working with them and the material, is that she's shown a lot of improvement and growth in that area. I really love how thorough this curriculum is, how exciting it is for the children. They're doing something new every day. Sometimes it's new topics and it might seem like they're jumping around a lot, but it does have a purpose. It keeps their interest and they really do build on each other. So we have been very happy with RightStart Math. We're going to continue it. We're going with level C this year. Now I will say that even though typically we've done kindergarten, first grade, second with A, B, and C, the levels don't have to correspond with grades. They have a placement test online that you can take and it'll tell you where you need to be as far as where you need to start in the program. We have decided to add Beast Academy to RightStart Math this year, and I'll do a separate video about that. I consider it more of a fun add-on and to get more into critical problem solving and a little bit of different environment with some online pieces, but that'll be a separate video. I know a lot of people do that in conjunction with RightStart Math, but as your base overall math program, I highly recommend RightStart. Look into it. It's an investment. It does take time. The parent is heavily involved in it, but the lessons are quick and your children will really enjoy this program. As always, make sure to leave me any questions down below and check out the rest of our homeschool series. I've got my top tips for getting started, as well as several more videos on curriculum and some upcoming ones with the planners I use, our schedule, organization. So lots of good stuff heading your way. Bye everyone.